We are living in a time where the velocity of change is almost staggering. I won't say it's unprecedented, but it's certainly different than we've experienced in a number of decades. Change is just happening rapidly. AI plays its part in that, the marketplace, all the things happening. So, as a leader, how do you lead in what can feel like an environment of constant change? Well, let me just give you a few thoughts on this because I do feel like this is a subject that requires more than maybe just this short video. However, let me give you some key thoughts that, as a leader, will help you lead more effectively in a season or an environment of constant change. Here's the first one: communication is going to be the key. That may sound like a duh, but however, it's amazing how we can get so caught up in the rapidity of things moving that we don't do a good job communicating. So when I say communication is key, let me dig into that a little more. You're going to have to communicate with your team and those that you lead more frequently. You're going to have to stay in touch, keeping the lines of communication open so that you can make adjustments on the fly. This is what's happening. All kinds of things are disrupting, but also as the market changes, as environments shift, we have to be as nimble as possible. So communication is where it all begins. When you're leading in an environment of apparent constant change, your communication is going to be essential. You want to do this often, but you also need it to be not just by messages or by your internal messaging or emails, but personal as well. It needs to be all of the above so that you know your team is on the same page. The other thing it needs to be is clear. You need to bring it with clarity. It's always better to say less clearly than to just flood information that is not clear. So as you communicate, be sure that you're doing it often, but you're also bringing clarity. It's clear communication. And then the other thing here is make sure it's authentic. If you're uncertain and you know that this is going to impact the team, it's okay as the leader to say, look, this could be challenging. Things could shift on us, and we need to just be prepared for that. That authentic kind and honest communication will go a long way to helping the people that you lead find some stability, even though they're in an environment of constant change. Here's the second thing that will be very important for you to do as a leader: celebrate the wins. Now, this means you're going to have to be paying attention because in order to celebrate a win, you have to identify one. And so you're going to be looking for and identifying the places where we've hit the mark, we're doing well, we're on track. Those are the things that you need to be regularly bringing to the team's attention. Hey, I know we may not be there yet, but we are moving forward. Or, hey, we accomplished this step. It was significant. Now we can move to the next step. Celebrating the wins. You're going to have to identify them and then focus on progress. Rather than letting your focus be on just how big the challenge or problems might be, go ahead and really drill in progress. When we see progress and we identify progress, it helps us stay motivated to stay in a process. And that is extremely important. The third thing that I would encourage you to do as you are trying to lead in an environment of constant change is connect your everyday work to the bigger mission. Make sure there's a connection in the minds of your team that what you're doing today matters. Help them understand why it's important. Help them make the connection and link to the overall goal. This will help them find some stability that what they're doing matters and that it's going to be meaningful. It's also going to help them recognize that every day we can make a step that moves us closer to the goal that we've made for ourselves. It's important for leaders right now to learn, but it's also important for them to learn how to unlearn because things are changing. What worked 5 years ago may not work right now. If you have become the master of a certain process or way of doing something, but you're noticing that it is not being effective, it's not accomplishing the goal, you need to learn how to unlearn in that environment. You can do this if you will communicate, celebrate wins, and then connect your everyday work of your team to the overall mission.